Hi, welcome to The Upside. I'm your host, Paul Santinello. This is a show where we talk about all the good things that are going on around us. Today we're going to talk with Nick Cocchi, and you've met Nick before here on the show. We're within 3 weeks of the Democrat primary for sheriff. It's a pretty good race going on right now. We're going to just touch base with Nick and talk about what's going on, how the campaign's been. So first of all, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Now that you've been on the campaign trail for a while.
2.5 years.
Yeah. How you doing?
No, I feel great. There's no question it's intensified over the past probably 6 months. It's 3 weeks from today.
Yeah.
We're very excited about it. We feel very good. Our ground effort, our door-to-door canvassing, our standouts, we're getting many volunteers out there to do the work that needs to be done to bring people out to vote on September 8th, which is a Thursday after Labor Day. It's projected to be a very low turnout, and we are trying to encourage as many people as possible to get out and have a say who your next sheriff is. So we've been very successful doing that, and we're excited to see what happens on September 8th.
And the thing about this campaign, because the primary is right after Labor Day, and it's not the first or second Tuesday, it's going to be the Thursday, the 8th, like you mentioned, because there's a Jewish holiday in there besides besides Labor Day and so forth. But it's kind of been quiet on the airwaves regarding the sheriff's race because it just isn't the right time to start advertising. So I would imagine between now and besides the ground game, which you guys have set the foundation of, there's going to be a lot of advertising, so people are going to hear about this race. But the most important thing, like you mentioned, is it's a primary in September. Kids are going back to school. There's a lot of things going on in people's lives, whether it's college or elementary school and stuff like that. So what have been the efforts that you guys have been working on to get the message out to people?
Well, I think the most important thing that I've learned very quickly in the 2.5 years that we've had our candidacy in the public was that you have to press the flesh, meaning you have to go out, meet people, shake their hand, talk to them, look in their eyes, and explain to them exactly who I am, what I represent, what I stand for, and how I will continue to serve them as their next sheriff. And it works. People like to see somebody, talk to somebody, look in their eyes, and get a feel for exactly who they are. I will tell you that with the election coming and the airwaves have been fairly quiet, that's going to heat up as well. I know we're running ads right now this week here, and we're going to get more aggressive as we go forward as far as the amount of TV, radio, and multimedia outlets that we'll be hitting. Because ultimately, my goal is to make sure that the voters of Hampden County understand who Nick Cocchi is. I need them to understand that I have 23 years of experience coming in as a line correctional officer out of the academy who has grown to the rank of assistant superintendent. And today, I oversee the operations of the facilities. And that's really what prepares you to do the next step, which is to succeed Sheriff Mike Ash. You know, it's just so important that people understand the financial responsibility to the public that we have when you have a $70+ million budget, and when the budget gets tight and we have close to 900 employees, we have 1,495 offenders. You can't just simply, with a tight budget, say we're going to cut this program or cut this person. We're a family, and we're a family with a mission. And it's so important that I have learned and I understand that we can reallocate resources, we continue to develop and increase the success rates of our programs, and we're going to do that regardless of what money comes from Boston. Does it make it harder? Sure it does. But the easy path to take is, hey, our budget got cut, or we're level funded, therefore we can't do as much. No, the Sheriff of Hampden County's got a responsibility to the taxpayers and to the people of Hampden County, and that is to take men and women that come to us with leg irons and shackles and cuffs on, that come to us in their darkest days, whether they're afflicted with a substance abuse issue, whether they're angry, domestic violence issues, and to take them at their worst time, and over the course of their incarceration and stay with us, return them back to society a better person. Well, my goal is to make every individual that comes into our custody, hopefully going back into society, a better mother, father, a better son or daughter, a better brother or sister. And if we can do that, it sounds easy, but it's very complex. But if we can do that, we've done something for the individual themselves. We've done something for their immediate family, and we've done something for the community which they're going back to. And we have a success rate of proving that we're doing that. And the Sheriff's Department is very proud of our recidivism rate, extremely proud of it. It's one of the lowest in the nation, if not the lowest in the nation. It's below the national average by about 17%. Our recidivism rate is 33.6%. The national average is 49. The state average is about 42% for the Department of Corrections. So we're doing something that's working, and we strongly believe it's the intense programming and the continuity of care when we hand this offender off into the community that's leading to a bulk of our success.
All right, and I want to touch on a couple things. So before I forget, because I'm listening to you and then I'm going to forget my own questions, but you talked about experience, and you've had 23 years experience, and because there's other people that have been in the race that are talking about their experience as well. But you've had 23 years in the Hampden County Sheriff's Department. That's number one.
Correct.
Right. So in the same facility, working under the same sheriff with the same folks for a number of years. But when you talk about being a line correctional officer, explain what that is, because I mean, in layman terms, I mean,
Sure.
you hear terms out there and you're familiar with them, but explain what a line correctional officer and why that's important to the role that if you do become sheriff, why is that important to you?
A line correctional officer is the heart and soul of the Hampden County Sheriff's Department. The correctional officer comes in each and every day, Monday through Sunday, weekends, holidays, 4 to 12, midnight to 8, 3 shifts a day. And they oversee the security management system of that facility. We have line caseworkers and counselors that immediately address any of the issues that the inmates may have inside the institution. The place would not run, and our place would not be as safe and secure and humane as it is without the great work that those correctional officers and caseworkers and counselors do each and every day. So when I started at the jail, I worked elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, inside the pods, inside the units with the offenders. And that means that you get to know them personally. You're there with 77, each of them having their own issues and their own questions that they need answered. And it can be overwhelming at times. I don't think there's any question that what our men and women do inside those units is very tasking. And you have to have a great demeanor, you have to be a role model, a mentor, and you have to be on your A game every day, and that's hard to do. So I have the utmost respect and admiration for the men and women that are correctional officers and our correctional line staff personnel, because really they're the engines that are pushing the boat. See, administratively we steer. The correctional officers and the line staff, they're the engines. And when the sheriff gets acknowledged by the President of the United States, a champion of change, by Governor Baker and Governor Patrick for the great work in reentry and employment services that we provide, the sheriff will be the first to tell you his gratitude and thank you now goes to his staff.
Okay, so when there's an issue that pops up and someone, in the campaign trail, whether it was through a debate or questions from a voter or something, and when they ask you about what's going on inside the jail, you actually know what they're talking about. Or you have reference to it because you've been there.
Well, I know exactly what they're
Yep.
talking about. I know what the issues are. But I think most importantly, what I've been going around and talking to the citizens of Hampden County is day one of a Nick Cocchi administration, we start working. The minute I hit that time clock, we start working. No tour needed. No one's got to explain to me what the different color uniforms mean for whether it's a house of correction offender or it's a pretrial offender. I know. They don't have to educate me to what the policies and the protocols are and what our philosophy is, because I not only understand it, I've helped develop it. And we're very proud of that. So I look forward to that opportunity of reaching out and taking the baton from Sheriff Mike Ash, who has done a tremendous job. The sheriff has been there for 42 years. He is not just one of the most progressive sheriffs in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He is renowned and one of the most progressive sheriffs around the country. And that's easy to say as we sit here in Long Meadow inside of Hampden County. But when I travel out to Colorado, to the large jail network and the National Institute of Corrections, and I stand up very proudly and say I am there on behalf of Sheriff Mike Ash, the Hampden County Sheriff's Department, people's heads turn. And they don't turn just because I'm saying I'm Nick Cocchi and I'm from the Hampden County Sheriff's Department. They turn because they recognize the name Sheriff Mike Ash. And associated with Mike Ash's name is effective programming, a firm, fair, and humane institution, and somebody who has been progressive in trying to work on recidivism rates and reentry services for decades. It's a theme around the country today, but Mike Ash has been doing it for decades, and that's why Hampden County's one of the leaders in the communities and in corrections when it comes to reentry services.
Okay, so that's the beginning of the career. You started out
Yeah.
inside the facility.
That's right.
With the in the beast, the belly of the beast, so to speak.
Correct.
Now you're a superintendent. And what's the role today that you perform there?
Well, every day I still walk inside the facility, and
By the way, where's your office?
it's inside the compound.
Right. Not in the administrative wing. So just so people
Absolutely
understand
not.
that
That's right.
you're inside the facility.
That's right.
Okay, just wanna make
I
sure.
walk down Sallyport, I use my ID card, and I go into a secure facility every day.
Yep.
And what do we do every day? I have the direct responsibility of overseeing the unit superintendents that oversee the inmate housing, the inmate discipline. I oversee the standards and compliance, the training department, the staff development department. So when you talk about what could happen during the course of a day, well, that's going to come across my desk. And I, along with my partner, who's John Kenny, he's the chief of security, we work collectively together, and we make sure that that facility, before we come in the morning and when we leave at night, is a safe place for every staff member to walk in. It's a safe place for the inmates to, number one, get up, not worry about their safety because we're worried about their safety. They need to worry about their programming. They need to understand that they're there to address the issues that got them there in the first place. And you can do that only if you provide a safe and humane environment. If every day people were worried about getting jumped or beat up or the uncertainty or the unsafety of the facility, that's not conducive to making positive change in your life. You're going to be on the defensive. We eliminate that with great security measures, with good staff that know what they're doing, and that allows the offenders to come in and now start to address their issues.
Yeah. And since, I don't know if the last time we talked, but, and it may or may not have been from the last time we talked, but endorsements are great in campaigns. And I say that with a smile because I remember one great local politician told me endorsements are worthless unless someone's going to do something for you. Work for you.
Understood.
So, and they told me you don't want my endorsement because I'm not going to do anything for you. My name doesn't carry that much. So, but there is one endorsement in the race that, to me, as an outsider looking in, and folks, I support Nick. I think I've said that on the air.
Thank you.
You're welcome, but because I don't think the job should be a politician's job, I think it should be someone who's experienced in a corrections facility because it's too important. Just like clerk of courts, just like registrar of probate, just like the jobs that deal with issues every day that affect us. And it's not a politician's world in that environment, in my opinion. But there is one endorsement that does matter to me from Sheriff Ash. And somewhere along the line, maybe a few months ago or so, or 2 months ago, whatever the timeline was, Sheriff Ash. And I know that he didn't take it lightly because he did take some time to figure out what he was going to do. I want you to just tell me a little bit about that and what it means to you, and because to me, it's almost like your dad saying, "Hey, good job," but that's my interpretation because he did have a slew of people to choose from.
Sure.
And just because you work, there's another person working there too, but you received that endorsement. So I just wanted to ask you, what does that mean for you?
Well, it means the world to me. As you just said, leading us into the question, there's been a lot of endorsements in this race given to many different candidates. And in every endorsement letter, the person making the endorsement or the group or the organization will say, and we believe that so-and-so is the best person to be the next sheriff of Hampden County because they have the tools and the knowledge to do so. In my belief, there's only one man that has the understanding to truly know who has the tools, the experience, and the knowledge to take over a facility, in a progressive facility that he's leaving behind, and that's Sheriff Mike Ash. The biggest endorsement that anyone could receive in this race is a sheriff, is the Sheriff Mike Ash's endorsement. 42 years of being progressive, redefining corrections, and he is now saying, Nick Cocchi's my guy. He understands what needs to be done. He's grown up in this department for 23 years, and he's worked many different facets of our agency. I was a correctional officer, I was a trainer, I was an academy instructor, I was a tactical commander. I was the first superintendent to oversee a re-entry unit inside the medium facility. Unheard of. The sheriff, I, and the staff opened it up. We did it right out of our multi-purpose room because the need was there. 60% of the offenders were leaving from medium security at that time. And we were not fully hitting the mark with offering all the resources upon release. So we opened up cutting edge stuff in our multi-purpose room, had upwards of 37 people, offenders in there that we would take out to the community and start to engage them and connect them with their wraparound services, employment, housing. These are the three legs of a stool that keep somebody on a firm, solid foundation when they're released to the community. If one of those legs breaks, the stool crumbles. When the stool crumbles, the potential for reincarceration increases. We want to make sure that those three-legged stools are solidified in concrete. So when somebody's got a job to go to, they can afford their home. When they have a home to go to, they now can provide for their family. And as they go to their wraparound services, their mental health appointments, their AA, their NA, whatever it may be, their health appointments, if you can keep all those things collectively together and you're working diligently to make sure you're satisfying those three legs of the stool, your chance for success only continues to rise, and your chance for longer term sobriety and recovery is also rising as well. And we know that not because we feel it, because we have statistical data information from our research department that proves that this is the way for successful reentry.
So, there were some words, and I want folks to understand that, is that, first of all, as a Republican, I'm probably never going to get a labor union to endorse me, but that's, wishful thinking. Not that I'm running for anything, but when you do see a labor union endorsing someone, or, and again, not that bad, because you probably received them too, or
Sure.
Another politician and stuff like that. Like you said, the one person who is qualified to give the endorsement is the person who's actually done the job.
That's right.
And there's only one of them.
That's right.
And I that's congratulations. I think that's a
Thank
great
you.
thing. But I also think that should be important to the public to understand that the guy who's done the job so well for 40 plus years is letting us know who he thinks is the right person for the job. I want to just sidetrack a little bit. You guys just played a hockey game.
Yeah. Paul, you just made a point, and I thought it was a very valid point. I've taken some hits. The sheriff endorsed you. It's a passing. It's a anointed one. That's not the case. People are saying, well, the sheriff's working hard on your behalf. Sheriff Mike Ash is out door knocking for Nick Cocchi every day.
I'm sorry, that's what I wanted to bring up. Right. So he's actually, when I said an endorsement, when someone said to me, I'm not going to do anything for you, so I'm not going to endorse you, he is.
He stands out.
Yep.
He waves. His entire family is committed. We're door knocking, we're doing visibilities, we're making phone calls, we're doing everything that needs to be done to reach out and connect with the voters. And when people say, boy, the sheriff really is behind you, Nick, boy, he's really helping you out a lot, don't you think that somebody who has held an office for 42 years has redefined that office as a model around the country? He absolutely has the right to endorse, and when he endorses, it means something.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so proud.
Yeah.
That's why when people say, well, how do you feel about the sheriff's endorsement? I get emotional, because here's a man.
Yeah, you didn't do that here, but
No, I didn't. But here's a man who has redefined what we do and how he serves the public, and his endorsement means a lot. There's other people that there's mayors, there's elected officials, and they make these endorsements, and I understand it. And there's personal friendships and things like that. But when one man speaks on behalf of what it takes to do the job, I think that means something coming from Mike Ash.
And more importantly, the sheriff is, because of his length of time in office, his tenure, he could have endorsed you and said, Nick's my guy, and walked off into the sunset, but he chose also to get involved. To your point, that I've seen him out there door knocking, I've seen him holding signs, and that's not typical of someone who's been in office for 42 years, who's getting ready to retire. They're usually not campaigning that last campaign, and so that's another thing. That's another testament to his belief that you are the right guy for the job, because he's out there working for you, not just giving you lip service, or the public, not giving the public lip service.
The greatest retirement present the sheriff could get from the community is that he knows that the facility that him and his staff have built for 42 years will continue on in a very progressive way through the Nick Cocchi administration.
And I think that's important too, is that when we're talking about this job, when Tom Moriarty retired, he endorsed a person, Suzanne Saglin, for her job as Register of Probate, and there was political people running for that job. But Tom saw that we need the right person in here to make sure the office continues to do what it does and build upon it, not just have it go the same direction, but also not make it a political position to where you're cutting staff and bringing people in and as political appointees. So I think that's important also to recognize, that folks should recognize, is that when the sheriff endorsed you, it's not just to keep his legacy alive, it's to make sure that the good works have already been established
Absolutely.
continue to go.
That's right.
As opposed to making it a political appointment come January, February, March, or whatever. You guys, like you said, that you're going to turn the key to open up the jail that day, and it's going to be business as usual.
That's right.
And keep going. So I think that's very important for people to understand. And look, don't take my word for it, and don't take Nick's word for it. Go look this stuff up.
That's right.
You can make your own decisions, but I think it's very telling when a guy's out there at his age, no knock on the sheriff, I know he's probably in better shape than I am, but at his age, door knocking, holding signs at 7 o'clock in the morning, to me, that's a testament to his belief in you.
That's right. And I think when you say business as usual, that's a positive thing. What I need people to understand, though, is that I have an undergraduate degree from Western New England College. I have a master's degree from the Elms in business administration. I am smart enough to know I don't know everything. And I'm smart enough to understand I need to surround myself with quality people. One of the other things that I hear from the community is, Nick, are you a puppet? Is people going to pull your strings? And if anybody who knows me, that's not the case. I've been there for 23 years. I understand the progression from incarceration on day one to walking and entering people back to the community. I believe in our philosophy. A lot of the things we do, I am going to continue, and we are going to refine them and continue to improve on them. But we'll do things differently too. I'm a security guy. I came up through the security ranks. I was a correctional officer. When people say, how are you different than Mike Ash? Well, I am different. The sheriff came in from the outside as a social worker who redefined corrections as a sheriff. I'm looking to become the sheriff of Hampden County from an inside organizational growth pattern, and then taking over as the next sheriff of Hampden County and using all my experiences, first-hand experiences, and how we can continue to refine and improve and support the offenders, the staff, and the community. I look forward to that challenge.
And if you win, you will literally be the first person who was a corrections officer inside the facility to become sheriff.
That's right.
Truly making it a non-political job. Excellent.
You made mention that there's some people in the race that have correctional experience, and there's another gentleman in the race who was on probation and parole, and has said that he's toured many of the facilities in Massachusetts. Well, I want to make it clear, I don't tour the facilities. I work in them. I'm the person who makes those facilities safe so people can come in and tour them. And I think the other piece when it comes to levels of experience, if you're in a 4-star restaurant and the head chef leaves, the waiter can't become the head chef just because they have restaurant experience. You have to have specific experience. My experience ranges from correctional officer to administrator and everything in between. I was a middle manager, I was a sergeant, I was a lieutenant, I was a deputy, and now I'm the superintendent. So I have a range of experience from beginning to end. And others in the race have experiences of maybe just working as a correctional officer or as a manager. And those are good experiences, and we should be all very proud of our experiences. But when you talk about the total level of experience, the 360-degree understanding, my resume is the only one in this race that is conducive to being able to do those things.
And where that came out apparently abundantly clear to me was that during one of the debates, I believe it was, a couple of the folks said, if I'm elected sheriff, we're going to do this, and we're going to implement this program, we're going to go visit these things and do these types of things. And you were quick to correct him that you already do them.
That's right.
And I think that was a point to me, there was a point of clarity there that said, wait a minute, these guys are talking about a job. Someone fed them some talking points.
That's right.
And said, this is what you should be doing as the sheriff's department. And the reality is you're already doing them, number one. But not to understand that as a candidate, to not understand that those programs are already being done, or those visits are already being done, whatever the reference to was pointed out to me that, again, it's just a political position. It's not really understanding what the role is of the sheriff. And I think that's a danger, could be danger in this world, that if you have the wrong people in the wrong positions. But I'll let the voters decide. We got about 4 minutes or so left. And I did want to ask you about the hockey game you guys just had, because Team Cocchi has a hockey team.
That's right.
Nicest home jerseys I've ever seen, by the way.
They were pretty sweet. They were pretty sweet.
Who did you guys play, and what was it for?
It was for the Kevin Major tournament, and we played about 4 games, and I got to get over there and see just about all of them. I missed maybe 1 or 2 because I was on the campaign trail at other events. But it's a tournament that honors Kevin Major, who lost his life very, very young to a tragedy. And there's 3 different divisions. There was a pro division, I would say the middle division, and then the division that I should have been playing in. But I sponsored a team, and I was involved in a team that was in the 2nd division. And I'm going to tell you, Paul, there's some really tremendous hockey players out there in our area. Frank Vetrano was there in the pro division, brought in hundreds of people to watch the games. I think he played maybe 4 or 5 games. And it was just a great way for the community to collectively come together and support such a great cause. The Major family has been instrumental in high school hockey, in youth hockey in this area, and to see hundreds of hockey players come together on behalf of the Kevin Major Foundation, it was just great to see. It was an honor to be part of it, and I look forward to being part of it again next year. It really is, the hockey world, for me, is a very special world, because I really believe that there's a brotherhood and a sisterhood when it comes to lacing up the skates. It's not like any other sport. If you can't skate, you can't play. And these men and women that come out there and take time away from, Frank Vetrano, a Boston Bruin, coming over to just represent and show the importance, it was an honor to be there.
Yeah, awesome. So one other question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up is, what's been some of your favorite things that have happened on a campaign trail?
That's a great question, and that's a question that will bring a smile to my face, as it did. I have met wonderful people. When I decided, and me and my wife decided we were going to tee it up and jump in the race 2.5 years ago, I had family members and I had people say, do you really want to get into politics? It can be so dirty, or it can be so negative. I'm going to tell you, I have not had that experience. I have had an experience of meeting decision makers and opinion makers of every city and town in Hampden County that believe in their community, that want to continue to do good. You look at the city of Springfield, there's no question, there's a lot of work to be done, but the city of Springfield is a tremendous city. The city of Holmes is a beautiful city. I've walked the streets in the city of Springfield, from the north end to the south end to East Forest Park, all over. And I'm going to tell you, I am excited about going into this race, finishing up and being the next sheriff, and working alongside of the mayor of Springfield, the mayors and the city councilors of the cities and towns around the county. Because the other thing to remember is, and I've heard this firsthand through many people, Hampden County is 23 cities and towns. And Nick, don't ever forget that. Yeah. So I was out in Chester at a senior luncheon, and I had a blast. I was out in Montgomery for one of their for their town meeting. And one lady, as she's walking in, I said, "Hi, I'm Nick Cocchi, running for sheriff. I just want to introduce myself. What are you doing here? What are you doing way out here?" I said, "Ma'am, this is part of my district." She says, "Well, not many people come out here." I said, "Well, if I didn't come out here, I'd hear about it." I said, "I'm here because I value you, I value your town, and I represent you." And she says, as she took my literature, she goes, "Well, you just earned my vote. I'm going to read this, and I hope it's everything that I've heard about you. But you have my vote because you took the time to just come out here and say hello."
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that reinforces that press in the flesh, getting out and meeting people.
And how much time do I have left? 1 minute. All right. So you got 30 seconds.
Okay.
What do you want to tell the voters?
I would just like to reach out to all the voters, especially in the town of Long Meadow, to say, I want to thank you for being so kind to me over the past 2.5 years. I hope over this half hour and over the past 2.5 years, you have seen the fact that I am an experienced candidate that has the understanding of how to run the Sheriff's Department. I am humbly asking you to have the opportunity to earn your vote on September 8th, the Thursday after Labor Day. It would mean the world to me, and I promise you this, I will serve you with character, integrity, and compassion as the next Sheriff of Hamilton County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Folks, I want to just reiterate, it's Thursday, September 8th for the Democrat primary. It's not the Tuesday after Labor Day, so keep that in mind. Mark the calendar. Go on the internet, start doing some research on the candidates if you haven't thought about it, because in the next 3 weeks or so, you're going to hear a lot from all of them. So thank you for watching The Upside. We'll see you on the next show. Have a great day. Thank you, sir.